Okay, so imagine for a second you hire a personal assistant.
Hmm.
And I don't just mean someone who, grabs your coffee. I mean someone who is just incredible, hyper efficient.
Okay, I like this.
They handle your emails, they color code your calendar,
Yeah,
they organize your desktop files. They basically run your entire life so you don't have to.
that sounds like the absolute dream. Sign me up.
It does, right?
Yeah.
But there's one tiny, massive catch.
Ugh, there's always a catch.
To do all of that work, you have to give them the keys to your front door. And instead of locking up when they leave, they leave the door wide open.
Oh,
And maybe, just for fun, they post a sign on your front lawn that lists your alarm code in big neon letters.
that is a terrifying image, but honestly, it's a perfect analogy for what we're digging into today.
We are looking at this concept of the helpful insider threat. And to be clear, we aren't talking about, a disgruntled employee stealing staplers. You're talking about AI agents, the tools we invite in.
Exactly. And to guide us through this, we're unpacking a really dense, fascinating transcript from IBM Technology's Security Intelligence.
This is a heavy hitter panel.
It really is. We've got Evelyn Anderson, a CTO and distinguished engineer, Dave McGinnis, who heads up cyber threat management, and Seth Glasgow, a cyber range executive.
So we have the builder, the threat hunter, and the guy you call when the building is actually on fire.
Precisely. And the mission for this deep dive is to explore what I kind of like to call the messy middle of the AI revolution.
I really like that framing because usually the conversation is so polarized. It's either AI will cure all diseases.
Or Skynet is going to launch the nukes. It's always the extremes. Yeah, everyone focuses on the existential threat. But the sources today point to something much more grounded and, frankly, much more annoying. We aren't just worried about AI being too smart. We're worried about it being helpful, lazy, or just generating so much noise that humans physically can't handle it.
Okay, so we've got a roadmap. We're going to look at the rise of local AI agents,
Okay.
specifically one called OpenClaw and why they are a security nightmare. Then we're going to talk about AI slop, ruining bug bounty programs.
And we'll discuss the government, specifically NIST, potentially stepping back from vulnerability tracking because there's just too much data. And finally, my favorite, a new phenomenon called vibe coding that's leading to broken ransomware.
Vibe coding. I can't wait. But let's start with that shiny new toy, OpenClaw. The source also calls it Maltbot or ClaudeBot. What are we looking at here?
So OpenClaw is basically the hot new open source AI agent. The pitch is you run it locally on your own machine.
Okay, so not in the cloud. That's supposed to mean better privacy.
That's the idea. And the appeal is obvious. It promises to automate your personal and admin tasks. It's marketed as totally frictionless, easy install, auto patching, set it and forget it.
Which is exactly what people want. We crave that friction reduction. Hey, AI, go organize my life. But I assume, since we're talking about it, the security reality is a little different.
Just a bit. A security researcher, Jameson O'Reilly, he dug into this ecosystem, and what he found was, well, the panel described it as terrifying.
Terrifying how? Like it's reading your diary.
Worse. O'Reilly looked into the infrastructure behind these agents, specifically something called Moltbook.
Moltbook.
Yeah. So if OpenClaw is the agent doing the work, Moltbook is the social network they use to talk to each other.
Wait, pause. The bots have their own social network.
In a way, yes. It's a registry. It lets them exchange data, find other agents. But here's the kicker. O'Reilly found the database powering Moltbook was severely misconfigured.
Misconfigured like admin password 123.
Misconfigured like no password at all. It exposed secret API keys, claimed tokens, verification codes, owner relationships. Essentially, the auto-generated documentation for the API, the instruction manual for the software was publicly accessible.
So if you had the URL, you could see everything.
You got it.
So users sign up for this tool to make their lives easier, thinking it's secure because it's local, and immediately their digital keys are just sitting out there on the public internet.
Yeah. Evelyn Anderson, the CTO on the panel, had a really interesting take. She compared it to the early days of the Internet of Me, smart toasters and all that.
Right.
She called it a bait and switch.
A bait and switch. How?
Because the user sees the convenience, sign me up, automate my emails. But under the hood, there are over 100 instances with public internet access and zero authentication.
Zero. Authentication. That is wild.
Once you're in, you have the keys to the kingdom. And that leads us to the real structural problem here, The panel called it God mode.
God mode. Sith Classico mentioned this. Sounds cool in the video game, but I'm guessing it's bad in cybersecurity.
It's a disaster. In a corporate environment, you would never, ever do this. In an enterprise, you use segmentation.
Right, if a tool manages your calendar, it doesn't also have the password to your bank account.
Exactly. It's the principle of least privilege. You only get access to what you need to do your job.
But these local agents,
They demand God mode. To be efficient, to be that frictionless assistant you want, they need access to everything. Email, passwords, file systems, browser history. If they have to ask you for permission every 5 seconds, they aren't very frictionless.
I see. So the efficiency comes at the cost of total exposure. And if an attacker compromises that one agent.
They have a systemic way into every single aspect of your digital life. Hudson Rock, a cybercrime intelligence company, has actually declared this the new primary target for info stealers.
It makes complete sense from a hacker's perspective. Why break into 10 different accounts when you can just break into the one bot that has the keys to all of them?
It's efficiency for the criminals, too. Dave McInnes put it really bluntly. If you make it easy to do my job, I'm going to let you do that. If users are handing over their passwords to a bot, attackers are just going to target the bot. It streamlines the whole attack.
So the takeaway here seems to be that all that friction we hate, the two-factor authentication, the permissions pop-ups, it's there for a reason.
It is. The panel suggests we need to segment these agents. Don't give one bot the keys to the entire castle. It's the classic Spider-Man rule, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Except here, the user doesn't even realize how much power they've given away.
Okay, so that's the helpful insider threat. You invite the vampire in because he offered to do your filing. Now let's pivot to something else the panel discussed. The idea of just volume.
This is a huge theme in the source material. The messy middle isn't just about bad code, it's about too much code and too much noise.
And we're talking about bug bounties. For anyone who might not know, these are programs where companies pay researchers to find bugs in their code. It's crowdsourced security.
Right, it's been a staple of the industry for years. See something, say something, get paid. But recently, the open source tool, curl, which is massive, it's in everything from cars to servers, decided to shut down its bug bounty program.
Why? Did they just run out of money?
No. They are drowning in AI slop.
Slop. That is such a gross word, but very descriptive. What exactly is slop in this context?
It fits perfectly. They're being flooded with low-quality, AI-generated vulnerability reports. Essentially, people are using ChatGPT or similar tools to scan code, generate a generic report about a potential bug, and submitting it, hoping to make a quick buck.
So it's spam.
It's high-tech spam, and it's mostly hallucinations. The AI says, hey, this function looks vulnerable, but it doesn't understand the context. It doesn't know if that code is actually reachable. Daniel Stenberg, the founder of curl, basically said he wants to remove the incentive for people to just submit crap.
But this feels like a catch-22, doesn't it? If you kill the bounty program to stop the noise, don't you also lose the signal? You lose the legitimate researchers who might actually find something critical.
That is the core of the debate. Dave and Seth from the panel called this a throw-in-the-towel moment. They were pretty critical of the decision, actually. Their argument is, AI isn't going away. The volume of data is not going to decrease. Quitting the game doesn't solve the problem.
So what's the alternative? If you're getting thousands of junk reports, what do? You can't just hire 1,000 engineers to read spam.
Well, they pointed to Microsoft. Microsoft actually expanded their bounty program recently. The expert view here seems to be fight AI with AI.
Meaning what? You build a bot to talk to the other bots?
Basically. Instead of retreating, you use AI tools to filter and triage the incoming reports. It's just not a human scalable problem anymore. You need an AI to read the AI reports, discard the noise, and surface the real threats.
That feels like a never-ending arms race.
Yeah.
The spammers get better AI, so the defenders need better AI.
It is. But the alternative is what curl did, just shutting the door. And in a world where threats are evolving so fast, closing your eyes to external research seems, I don't know, incredibly risky. It's like blinding yourself because the light is too bright.
And speaking of being overwhelmed, this brings us to the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST.
Yes. The heavy hitters.
They manage the NVD, the National Vulnerability Database. This is basically the encyclopedia of every known software bug. If you're a security pro, this is your Bible.
It is the central body of trust. When a new vulnerability, a CVE, comes out, NIST analyzes it, scores it, and puts it in the database for everyone.
But the source says NIST is considering some big changes. Why?
Same reason as curl, volume. There are simply too many vulnerabilities being discovered for NIST to keep up. They have a massive backlog. They literally cannot analyze them all.
So the encyclopedia is too full.
In a way, yeah. The proposal on the table is that NIST might stop enriching every single vulnerability. And enrichment here means the deep analysis adding context, scoring severity, linking to patches.
If they stop doing that, who does?
They might hand this work off to CNAs, CVE numbering authorities. These are often the vendors themselves or private researchers.
Hold on, let me get this straight. So if I find a bug in a company's software, that company might be the one responsible for scoring how bad it is in the official database.
You've spotted the issue immediately. The panel was really torn on this. On one hand, Seth points out that this forces a risk-based approach. Not all bugs are created equal, and we have to accept we can't catalog everything with the same level of detail. It's just not physically possible anymore.
It's kind of an admission to defeat. We can't track it all, so we'll only track the big stuff.
Exactly. But on the other hand, you lose neutrality. The NVD was trusted because it was a government. It was impartial. If you decentralize that to private companies, do you lose that trust? Will a vendor score their own vulnerability, honestly?
It's like letting students grade their own homework because the teacher has too many papers. Oh yeah, this massive security hole. It's just a C-. Don't worry about it.
That's a great analogy. And Evelyn Anderson raised exactly this concern. She mentioned that researchers at NIST have a different mindset than vendor researchers. Vendors want to downplay risk to protect stock prices. NIST just wants the facts. If the quality of that data drops, the entire industry suffers.
So if we connect this back to the bug bounty thing, the theme really is that the sheer volume of information driven partly by AI is breaking our traditional systems.
Exactly. The old ways, manual review, human enrichment, are collapsing under the weight of the data. We're seeing the limits of human scalability in real time.
Okay, let's unpack the final topic, which is my personal favorite because of the name, vibe coding.
Yes. This is where things get really messy. And frankly, a little funny if it wasn't so destructive.
So we have a new ransomware strain called Sakari. What's the story here?
So researchers at Howson found this strain. On the surface, it operates like standard ransomware, gets in your system, locks your files, demands payment. But there is a glitch.
A glitch. Like it asks for the wrong currency.
A fatal glitch. During execution, the malware generates an encryption key pair, a public key to lock the files, and a private key to unlock them. That's standard. But then it just discards the private key.
It throws away the key.
It deletes it. It doesn't send it to the hacker server. It doesn't save it anywhere. It just poof, gone.
So even if I pay the ransom,
The attackers literally cannot decrypt your files. It's mathematically impossible. They locked the safe and threw the key into a volcano.
that is incompetent.
It is wildly incompetent. And the researchers believe this is a result of vibe coding.
Okay, define vibe coding for us, because it sounds like something teenagers do on TikTok.
It's the idea of using AI to write code without actually knowing how to code. You ask the AI to write me ransomware, it spits out code, and you just run it because it, vibes. You don't audit it, you don't understand it, you just deploy it.
So the bad guys are being lazy. They're using AI to do their homework, but they aren't checking if the answers are right.
Precisely. And the irony here is just palpable. Threat actors are trying to be efficient, just like the office workers using OpenClaw. But in doing so, they've completely broken the business model of ransomware.
Right, because the business model relies on a twisted kind of trust. I pay you, you give me my data back. If word gets out that you can't give me my data, nobody pays.
Exactly. Seth Glasgow made an interesting comparison here. He contrasted Sakari with VoidLink, another AI-driven malware. VoidLink was sophisticated, highly disciplined, very professional. Sakari is the opposite. It's the slop of the malware world.
But does that make it less dangerous?
In a way, it makes it more dangerous, or at least it complicates the defense. You can't rely on negotiation. You can't rely on the rational actor theory where the hacker wants to keep their reputation so they can get paid next time.
You're just dealing with incompetence.
Pure incompetence. So what do? If the malware is broken and can't be decrypted, what's the defense? You can't just pay your way out.
Resilience.
Resilience. This validates the absolute need for backups and recovery plans. Evelyn Anderson emphasized this. It's not just about stopping the attack. It's about knowing what you do when the attack happens and the attacker is too incompetent to fix it for you.
It's the call Seth rule.
Yes, the running joke in the panel was, if you're in trouble, call Seth.
But the serious point under that joke is, You need a plan before things break.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just hope the attacker is professional enough to have a working decryption key.
Exactly. You have to assume the attacker is using buggy AI-generated code that might just destroy your data by accident. You have to be ready to restore from scratch.
This has been a really fascinating look at the messy middle. It feels like the theme isn't that AI is becoming this perfect weapon, but that it's just flooding everything with chaos.
That's the through line.
Yeah.
I mean, let's sum it up. The good guys are drowning in AI slop reports. The government NIST is overwhelmed by the sheer volume of vulnerabilities. Regular users are installing helpful spies like OpenClaw without any guardrails.
And the bad guys. They're vibe coding malware that destroys data purely by accident. It's messy. It's really messy.
It is, and it requires a shift in mindset. We're moving away from perfection in security, catching every bug, enriching every CVE, and moving toward risk management and resilience.
Because you can't stop the wave.
No, you just have to learn how to swim in it.
So what does this all mean for the listener right now? What's the practical application?
I think the biggest takeaway is just skepticism of frictionless AI. If a tool promises to do everything for you, ask what access you're giving up. Look for that God mode permission.
And check your backups.
And check your backups, absolutely. Because if you get hit by vibe-coded ransomware, no amount of money is going to get those files back.
That is a sobering thought. Before we wrap up, I want to leave the listener with a thought to mull over. We talked about how we used to rely on security by obscurity, hoping nobody found the vulnerability because nobody was looking.
Right. That's been dead for a while, but the concept lingers.
But if AI is making attackers incompetent writing broken code, but also overwhelming defenders with sheer noise, are we entering an era of security by volume?
That's a provocative idea.
Where the biggest threat isn't a single sniper shot, but just being buried under a mountain of trash.
Right.
Are we ready for a world where the main job of security is just sifting through the garbage to find the one real weapon?
It certainly feels like that's where we're heading. It's not about the one brilliant hacker anymore. It's about the million mediocre bots. And that changes the math for everyone.
On that note, I'm going to go check my permissions on my calendar app. I think I gave it way too much access last week.
Probably a good idea. And maybe don't give the new AI bot your bank password.
Solid advice. Thanks for listening to this Deep Drive. We'll see you next time.